我们很荣幸邀请到Big Time 的团队来到 GTG Radio，然后我们今天可以请他们跟我们介绍一下Big Time 的组成，还有游戏未来的发展，还有如果大家有任何疑问的话，我们一样是老规矩，大家可以到我们的电台聊天频道，对任何的问题都可以提出，然后我们会及时的跟团队询问，对，然后今天的 MA 会是用英文来进行，然后我们也会及时的翻译成中文给大家，所以大家不用担心。那因为今天我们其中一位来宾他只能来半个小时，所以我们稍微提早了一下我们今天的节目时间。那很谢谢大家还是很准时的上线哦。好，那很高兴可以邀请到 Big Time 的人，也很高兴大家在提早半个小时的情况下，还是来到 GTG Radio 跟我们一起参加线上的活动。那我们就开始今天的节目。
OK，大家好，抱歉。我这边是 CR，那我是 GTG 的co-founder，然后今天是我们 GTG Radio EP022，然后很高兴邀请到 Big Time 这边来到我们的节目现场哦。那就像刚刚 Daniel 介绍，我们今天活动会以英文为主，所以我们会在提问完之后做翻译。好，那我就先来开始做我们的访谈吧。So we might have some warm-up session for today's AMA. So can Matt and Ian quickly introduce yourself and maybe share the games you are playing recently or how many games you have played before? So feel free to introduce. How about we start from Matt?
Sure. So thanks for having me on. So I'm Matt. I've been with Big Time about 6 months, and I generally work on guild and then social media engagement and outreach, which is how I was able to find your community. And let's see, for games, sometimes I get a little bit nervous about sharing which games I used to play because I don't want people to know how old I am. Um, but I was a big Gears of War guy before this, and now I'm playing Big Time.
Cool, awesome. Actually, I was playing EverQuest and World of Warcraft when I was like in the high school. So I think most of our guild members already played video games or online games for several decades. So it's happy to have you here today. And how about Ian?
Yeah, hi guys. My name is Ian, Chinese community lead at Big Time. 然后我就说中文吧，我是中文社区负责人。然后我之前玩的游戏，其实我玩过特别多游戏。我从上幼儿园时候就开始玩游戏，然后是在今年年初加入的 Big Time。很高兴受到 GTG 邀请来给大家分享我们 Big Time，谢谢。
Okay, awesome. So I'll just start from the first question. Can you guys briefly introduce the team behind Big Time? Because I think most of the people here today might heard of. Do you have a strong team and founders coming from other famous projects or companies or studios? So can you briefly introduce the team?
Yeah, I can probably take this one, and then Ian can probably take the next one. So Big Time was founded by Ari and Thor. Ari was the co-founder of Decentraland, which I think is still the biggest blockchain game by market cap. Thor was also one of the very early on people at Decentraland, but before that, he was a co-founder at Zynga Games, which had the biggest IPO at the time when it went public since Google. And then, so that's the CEO and the president, and then most of the senior developers have worked on some iconic games in the Web 2 space, such as Gears of War, Fortnite, League of Legends, and even more. And so we've got like a pretty rock star team of game developers from top to bottom in Big Time.
Okay, cool. So I would just translate real quick. 那刚才 Matt 这边介绍到就是Big Time 的这个创办团队哦，那其实他们的这个共同创办人其中之一，也就是他们现在的 CEO Ari 是 Decentraland 的这个 founder。那 Decentraland 也是一个很有名，跟 The Sandbox 一样的这个Metaverse 或元宇宙的这个 project。那他们的 CEO 就是 Ari 还曾经在这个风投的机构担任过这个市场研究的分析师。那另外他们的Chief Product Officer Tor， 他曾经就是在 EA 这边，就是等于算是一个非常早期的就是这个团队的成员，然后那他们也开创了当时所谓的这个 MMORPG 的这种游戏的模式。那另外他也在这个 Zynga 这间公司服务过，那他也帮助 Zynga 把这个公司发展成这个蛮大的一个这个游戏公司哦，然后也是从 Google 之后的一个最大的一个 IPO。那当然那时候 Zynga 算是一个做社交游戏就是爆红的一间公司，所以我们可以简单从这个 Big Times 的后面的团队可以看到，他们有一个非常坚强的一个阵容哦。那当然，过去也曾经参与过蛮多的游戏，包含说像 Fortnite 啦、Gears of War 等等这些游戏的开发。那相关的这个团队介绍，我想大家就可以去参考一下他们的官方网站。Okay, your turn, Daniel.
Okay, thanks for having this detailed answer from Matthew. So I think this one will go to Ian. So we all know that Big Time is currently in the closed beta phase. So how can players join the game?
So you want me to talk in English or Chinese?
好，我用中文翻译一次，然后你再帮我们用中文回答
OK
好了，谢谢。
cool.
对，所以这一题是我们想说，大家都知道嘛，Big Time 现在在 close beta 的封测阶段，所以那如果作为玩家，我们要怎么样才可以参与就是Big Time 的游戏测试呢？
首先我们现在在抢先体验阶段 Early Access， 然后现在进入游戏需要购买我们的 VIP Pass。然后从上个月19号开始是金卡的 VIP Pass 阶段，然后当时的金卡市场价在6000到10000美金之间，现在是在6000美金。然后从上周开始是银卡的体验阶段，银卡现在市场价是900美金，然后现在要玩游戏的话就是买银卡进场，但是比较不划算，因为银卡已经开始接近10天了。接下来一个阶段是6月7号的翡翠卡。翡翠卡现在市场价是200美金，然后这个分阶段的原因是我们在游戏中 NFT 掉落的概率是随着阶段不停递减的，就是金卡的掉率最高，然后是银卡，然后是翡翠卡，这样对。
OK， 所以就是会有不同的等级，然后也有不同的 pass 可以去进行封测，参与封测。
对。
那请问什么时候会有公测的计划呢？
我们目前公测的时间具体没有宣布，但是应该不会晚于今年，然后但是不会早于7月份，应该就是在7月底到12月份之间吧。其实主要还是要看市场大环境来决定吧，因为现在市场很差，我们就想等一个比较好的时机再来进行公测。对。
理解，好，感谢你。
Okay, so I have the third question. So Matthew, can you share the gameplay designs and maybe some storyline behind Big Time? For example, like the timeline system and how many classes you have, and maybe the mission design, and also how players will get through the games.
Yeah, so the overall story of Big Time is that it's set in the distant future where time is collapsing and kind of all of humanity has been pushed to this outer world called Time's End. And there's basically an evil corporation which is called Big Time, where you can take vacations around the universe and in multiple time periods, but their time traveling is causing that time to collapse. So the player enters on the good side, and you've got Albert Einstein on your side, and you're out there to defeat Paradox Corporation and Big Time to prevent time from completely falling apart. There are 4 character classes off the bat. They're highly modular though, so you can play as a base character of one but use the weapons from another, and then you can add cosmetic NFTs to change their appearance and then level up various strength and speed attributes. So super modular. And then that way, for users who have certain strengths and weaknesses in their gameplay, they're going to be able to find a combination of characters and weapons and design that they like.
OK, cool。所以刚才我的这个问题主要是想要询问 Matthew 这边关于说游戏的这个设计跟这个背景故事是什么。所以这个游戏本身呢，它的故事呢，基本上就是这个因为有个叫 Big Time 的这个算是一个邪恶组织或一个公司哦，那它的这个让这个大家可以透过 time travel， 也就是穿越时空的方式来旅行哦。结果没想到就是说就导致了这个时空可能崩坏哦，所以目前就有一个就是逐渐把这个历史跟时间撕裂的一个神秘力量在那产生了。那玩家基本上就是要在这个故事背景之下穿越时空来保卫这个历史事件哦。那所以这些玩家他会在这个游戏过程中遇到一些历史人物，譬如说刚刚提到这个爱因斯坦啊，或一些重要历史事件。那玩家们基本上就是透过跟不同的这个其他的玩家来组队，去把这个怪物杀死啊，或者是在不同的这个副本里面冒险，来去获得一些战利品跟 NFT。那目前这个游戏就是有不同的这个技能跟这个点数可以配置嘛，然后玩家也会有4种不同的这个职业。所以职业的部分其实我们之后可以再稍微深入讨论一下。那简单来讲就是战士、法师，然后类似像melee 的就是近战的这个刺客的角色，然后还有捕师嘛。那玩家就可以自由去切换，就是说他们想要采取哪一种这个职业，然后也可以去组合一些武器等等的。所以这个是目前 Big Time 的整个游戏的大致的介绍。Okay, so for you, Daniel.
Okay, so I'll follow up with our fourth question. So, how about the loots and NFTs? So, can Ian share with us more about the equipment, the mounts, and titles players can get from the game? Okay.
Yeah, sure. So first, player can get like 2 kinds of NFTs in the game. The first one is space NFT. The space, it has some utility, like you can use it to get out token in the game, in the dungeon when you kill mobs, but it's after public launch, not right now. And also you can use space to upgrade those cosmetic NFT and get a more rare level 1, and that's the space. And the second one is like players can get cosmetic NFT when they kill mobs and bosses. For all cosmetic NFT, it's only cosmetic, look good, has no utility. And there's also like different rarities of the cosmetic NFTs. And now for the most expensive one ever sold on open market on our website, it's around 8,000 USD. So that's really impressive. And yeah, that's it.
Which one would sell for $8,000?
I think it's a weapon. A legendary level X, I think. Pretty
Okay.
good looking one. Yeah.
Cool. OK，所以我刚刚请教 Ian，就是玩家可以在游戏里面获得怎么样的宝物跟 NFT，然后我会请他说，可不可以帮我们解释一下，那玩家会怎么获得 NFT，然后这 NFT 可以有什么功用？那 Ian 的回答是，玩家一共可以在 Big Time 里面获得2种 NFT，一种是叫 Space，Space 在未来他们公测以后可以获得 Big Time 自己的 token， 这些 token 会有一些使用的场景，它可能用来升级你未来的造型，或是它有其他一些买卖的用途等等的。那这就是第一个 NFT Space 主要的功能。那第二个是可以获得 Cosmetics， 这个 Cosmetic 就是一些skin 啊，一些造型。那其实这也是可以透过打怪或是推副本打完以后，那它主要就是它没有其他的太多的延伸用途但是它没有经过特别的设计。然后刚刚 Ian 有跟我们分享，目前在Big Time 他们官方的 Marketplace， 就是 交易所里面交易的他们官方的交易场所最贵的一个造型用$8000卖出，所以可以看得到他们在造型的热度上，其实大家是非常买单的。所以其实你只要是 big time 的玩家，你都有机会可以打到非常高级的装备。对，然后我刚刚也问了燕说，诶，这个卖$8000的装备它是什么？他说它是目前最受欢迎的，其实比较像是武器的造型，对，会是最受欢迎的一种。Okay, so I want to kind of extend some of the question from here. And so, other than just kill the monster and boss in games, is there any way we can get those NFT?
There's going
I
to
think
be
that's the only. Oh, go ahead, man. Go ahead. My internet sucks. Just go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, so there's a couple ways, and I guess to clarify, the cosmetic skins are NFTs, but there are other things that are on chain inside the game. So, for example, the coin, or excuse me, the big time token is going to be on chain as well, and then we also have things like space, which are also on blockchain as well. The main way is by beating bosses, but there are also going to be some sort of like adventure quests and side quests and things like that where if you complete those challenges, you can complete you can get NFTs. And then we've also done some giveaways for our communities as well.
Cool. And can you elaborate more about the economy behind the design that because you're quite different from the certain now existing GameFi that we all know they're based on the tokenomic models and but you guys choose to stick with a cosmetic NFT. Can you elaborate a little bit more why you guys design of the game like this?
So the cosmetic NFT component is only um, no, let me back up. The economy gets more complex during global launch. What you're seeing during early access is just the cosmetic NFTs getting dropped because it's still an early access version of the game. It's not complete yet. So the reason why we went for cosmetic NFTs in early access is because we know that gamers like them. We know from things like Fortnite that gamers like to peacock, they like to individualize and customize their appearance. And unlike in other Web 2 type games, when you put those cosmetic uh, skins on chain, users truly own them. They can take them out of the game, they can sell them, they can trade them, they can do a lot. So that's the ownership part of cosmetic skins that hasn't been available in Web 2. Do you want to translate that part and then I can come back and talk about the rest of the economy afterwards?
Sure, thanks. OK，所以我刚刚问了 Matt 说，在游戏里面啊，因为我们现在都知道，现在的现有的 GameFi 其实大家都是用呃类似一种于代币经济模型的情况，让 GameFi 去推出，然后作为是 GameFi 跟传统游戏的区别。那我刚刚问 Matt 说，为什么 Big Time 会选择要用就是用造型的经济模式，或是包括为什么他们的 NFT 是只仅限于在造型之上。那他刚刚有提到，其实他们未来也会有token 的，就是会有代币的经济模型，会有代币的相关的资讯会推出，但是并不会是他们主要的一个点。然后他也说，他们目前现在玩家在封测所体验到的经济模型，还不是最终的阶段。之后会有更多的消息释出，然后会有更复杂的模型，然后让游戏达到不会崩盘的情况。对，但是他说为什么一开始我们在封测的时候，Big Time 会选择用造型 NFT 来作为一个切入点。他说，因为从传统可能 Web2 的游戏中有一些很相关成功的经验，包括 Fortnite 啊，或是CS:GO 的不同的稀有的枪这些造型等等。因为其实玩家很热衷于收集不同的造型，那玩家也认为造型就是游戏体验的一部分。那 Big Time 做到跟这些传统游戏不一样的地方是，因为这些造型都实际上真正有上链。那只要它是在链上，那玩家是真正拥有这样子的一个数位资产，那他们可以把它卖掉，或是在未来他们就是在链上，它是一个不会磨灭的一个档案。所以这是为什么他们一开始会使用 造型 NFT 作为一个切入点。Okay, Matthew, so could you please continue about the other economic design of the game?
Yeah, so the full economy of the game will really kick in during global launch, which is still a couple months away. So in that part of the economy, I'll start with space. So space is our land NFT, and visually it looks like a house. And you can add things inside of your space. And one of those things is called a time warden. When you enable the time warden, that basically allows users to start collecting the in-game token as they play the game. So if you don't have space, then you can't collect the in-game token. That's one of the reasons why guilds buy space. As you collect the in-game token from playing the game, you can find other NFTs and then collect other resources inside the game. When you find those NFTs, those cosmetic skins, you can then bring them back to your space, put them through an armory or a forge along with other resources, and increase the rarity of those cosmetic skins and upgrade them in a few other ways. From there, you can take those upgraded NFTs and put them onto the marketplace, or you can use them to customize your character even further. So that's the general loop right there, is you use space, which enables you to find the token. You find the tokens and the space inside the game. You bring the skins back to your space, upgrade them and customize them, and then you can sell them on the marketplace. That's the general loop we see guilds and scholars using.
Okay, thanks, Matthew. 所以 Matthew 有提到说，就是除了刚提到的造型的 NFT 以外，其实在公测开始之后，会有一个新的更多的应用场景，包括是 Game Token 或是刚刚提到的Space NFT。那其实 Space NFT 呢，你们可以把它想象成是一个土地型的 NFT，那它就是一个你的在游戏里面的房间。那房间里面会有一个时间道具，那你只有在拥有这个时间道具的情况，还有拥有 Space 这个 NFT 的情况，你才可以去在打怪打副本的情况下，或去启动这个打王掉落 NFT 的机制。那 Space 也是同时让你拥有Token 的一个必要道具，就是当你有了 Space 的时候，你这个时候你就会开始产生你的游戏的 Token，然后你打王的时候也才会掉 Token。那这些 Token 有什么功能呢？这些 Token 这些代币可以去升级你的这些造型，或者是再回来布置你的Space，等于是布置你的房间。那甚至呢，它是可以去让你的角色看起来是更有自己的样式，就是它可以客制化你自己的角色。那不管是这些造型或是角色等等的，你都可以再把这些 NFT 再拿到你的，或是你的 Space，你自己的这个房间有更多你自己客制化的元素在里面的时候，你都可以再把它放回 Big Time 的市场上去做交易，然后你就可以获得更多的收益。这是他们主要的一个经济模型，然后也是玩家获益的来源。那也是现在，因为其实 Big Time 有跟很多不同样式的工会合作，或是一些奖学金计划。那这个是比较常见的一些奖学金或是打金工会切入的地方。Okay, so next question, I think CR, you can take the lead.
Okay, great. So we talk about the cosmetic NFTs. So how can players trade those NFTs? Can they just trade on the marketplace or any secondary marketplaces like OpenSea?
Yes. So currently you can only use them inside of our marketplace. You can buy NFTs on OpenSea and Binance, and then those are our early access passes, and then bring them into Big Time to get access to the game. Currently, you can't take the NFTs that are inside the game and move them onto a chain yet. But by global launch, we're going to be able to use our patented technology. It's called the Vault, which is going to allow you to mint our NFTs onto a variety of different chains, such as Tron, Polygon, Ethereum. And then that way, users have a lot of flexibility on which chain they can use. But yeah, that's absolutely the goal by global launch.
Okay, thank you. 所以我刚刚问的问题是，我们刚刚前面提到这些外观型的 NFT， 那我们到底要怎么样去购买或交易这些 NFT 呢？现在有没有一些市集或者是二手的这个市集可以去购买哦？那刚才 Matthew 这边就提到，就是说目前你可以从譬如说像币安或者是其他地方买到这个，等于有点像是官方的一级市场去贩售这些 NFT，以及自己 Big Time 的这个官方网站上面有个 Marketplace，你可以从那边购买哦。那但是交易的部分的话，目前还是以官方的一级市场为主。那但是他们之后有一个计划，就是 Vote 的部分呢，它可以从 Vote 这边去就是算制造出可以支援其他更多的这个链的，就是公链的一些 NFT 哦。那之后等有更详细的计划之后，会再跟大家做分享。OK。
Okay, I'll take it from here. So next question I want to ask is that because we are talking about that you will have another like a general loop of the economy in games after the public launch, right? So what would be the role of guild in big time? You're talking about that you are going to have scholarship program as well, and what would it be, or could you be more specifically about how does the scholarship and guild works and collab with big times and now in your ecosystem?
Sorry, I was talking on mute there. So the main way we see guilds getting involved in big time is through owning space. So as I mentioned before, unless you have space with that Time Warden NFT enabled, you can't collect the in-game token. So users that don't have those NFTs aren't going to be able to upgrade the cosmetic NFTs that they find. Correspondingly, most of the supply of those cosmetic skins inside the game are going to come from guilds. That's really the way we envision the economy. It's very much a player-run economy. So, scholarships, guilds, players, they're going to have a slightly different method of interaction than we saw in some earlier blockchain type games like Axie Infinity or something, but it's still a very good model. And we think that it's a very good model because there's going to be so many more players playing the game. The idea with Big Time was that we went for a more of a Web 2 type gaming experience, something that users are familiar with in something like Fortnite or Valorant. And then that way there are millions of monthly active users as opposed to thousands or tens of thousands, which we see in many other types of blockchain games. By having such a larger player base and with guilds really being the suppliers of those cosmetic skins that those players want and consume, it creates a very strong demand that we think guilds are going to like, and we think it's going to create some very strong guild and scholar mechanics.
Okay, awesome. I'll start from here. 所以刚刚我问了 Matthew 说，刚刚也有提到嘛，就是工会其实在大家知道 GameFi 里面通常扮演很重要的角色，像是 X Infinity 啊，或是一些过去的 GameFi 都会有一些工会的角色参与其中。那我就问 Matthew 说，那像在 Big Time 里面，工会扮演怎样的角色呢？那 Matthew 就有提到说，你可以拥有就像刚刚提到，只有拥有 Space NFT 的人，你才可以去获得代币。那没有 Space 的人说就没有办法。所以其实工会它就是以一个不管是集资的方向，或共同拥有的方式也好，他们会拥有大量的 Space，所以他们会有大量的 Token。那所以即便大家都打得到 NFT，那他们可能会进行这个 NFT 就是造型 NFT 收购的这个动作，然后在他的手上有大量的 token，所以他们可能会Matthew 的意思是说，他们的设计是希望透过这些大型的工会去产生最稀有的 NFT，所以这些 NFT 可能都会被掌握在这些工会手上，所以这是一个他们去促进他们之中的流动性的一个方法，而且他们是说，就是不像传统的 GameFi，不像 X Infinity，不像可能 Steppen，你是可以你是需要有人去帮你完成这些任务，然后你才可以获得不管是代币也好，或是 NFT 的奖励。它不是这么直接的，你可以像 X Infinity 去租借你的账号给你的奖学金成员，而是透过这样的阶段，在不管是玩家也好，或者是工会也好，或者是所谓真的是提供奖学金 奖学金 program 的这些人也好，他们在游戏里面扮演不同的角色，那他们有不同的产出，然后造成整个游戏之间的彼此的流动。So Matthew, I have one more question for you. Is that is a space NFT being are you able to lend it to other players?
Yes, you will absolutely be able to lend it. So, um, we haven't released all the details on it yet, but generally speaking, large space owners are going to be able to lend their space and other types of NFTs to other users, which we saw as something beneficial for guild owners or other large space owners, as they want to pass over management of that space to, for example, the guild players or the scholars. As we were building the game, some of our early investors were OpenDAO and YGG. And so we understood that even though our focus was on building a very good AAA game, we did need to be able to accommodate the guild interests and create a strong community and economy that guilds would want to play into. And we think lending space is a pivotal part of that.
Awesome. OK，所以我刚刚问了 Matthew，我说，哎，那像是你可不可以直接租借你的游戏里面的 NFT？那 Matthew 有提到，其实现在还没有全面的公开相关的资讯，但在未来在游戏里面，你绝对可以除了 Space 以外，其他相关的 NFT 可能都有机会去做用租借的功能租给其他的玩家。他还有提到说，之所以会这样设计，是因为Guild 就是工会在区块链游戏的生态扮演很重要的角色，他们可能是早期第一批的流量，他们可能是一个很好的宣传管道。那所以他们在早期募资的阶段，可能有跟 OpenDAO 或者 YGG 这样的组织有去做合作，所以他们知道造型的 NFT 会是Web2 玩家很注重的一块，所以他们知道越来越多的 user base， 越来越多的玩家数量就可以支撑这样子的一个需求。然后也是工会获利的来源。他们可能是透过，因为工会当然也需要有不同的收益来源，他们才愿意去带着他们既有流量加入这款游戏。所以这就是为什么他们会把 Space 或是其他的 NFT 设计成是可以租借的模式。OK， 好，那 CR 下一题再麻烦你。
Okay, so here are some questions from our community because we collect some of the questions prior to today's AMA. So the first question is, can you share more about your roadmap or development schedule, like after the beta phase and maybe the coming next couple of months? And also, you've talked about the vote. Can you elaborate more about the vote and also where we can read more details about the vote?
What vote are you talking about? You talking about for a DAO?
Yeah, you talk about the vote, which you can create NFTs on different chains, including like Polygon or other chains.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, the vault.
Yeah.
My bad. Okay, sorry. I apologize.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So here's the approximate timeline that we have right now. So currently we're in Silver Pass access. That's going to last for about another week and a half. And then on June 14th is when Jade Pass holders can start playing the game. And on June 28th is when Ruby Pass holders can start playing the game. Initially, we said Ruby Pass period was going to be about a week, but in reality, it's going to be multiple weeks or maybe even months. So I would be surprised, if we release the full access of the game in the summertime. I think we're aiming for late third quarter or maybe even fourth quarter for releasing the full access of the game. That's kind of where the team is focused right now on getting the game launched. A few weeks before the global launch, we're going to release things like guild mechanics and how all those asset permissioning systems are going to work. So that way guilds have plenty of time in order to optimize their strategy, get their scholars, and then get ready for global launch where they can start taking over the economy. For your members of your community that are more curious about how the economy works, we're going to be talking on some AMAs next week, and we'd love to have some of your community members there to talk more in depth on how the economy is going to work, including that burn rate, the cyclical burn rate between NFTs, the token, and other in-game resources. So that way we can answer a lot of the community's questions on how the economy works. But that's our general roadmap over the next few months.
Yeah, and also the vote.
Yeah, the vault will come out at the same time as the global launch. So basically with global launch, there's a bunch of things that start concurrently. So for example, the guild mechanics will start. Users can start using their space. The vault can be used, and more levels of the game will also be released. And then it obviously with global launch, it starts the free to play access part of the game.
Awesome, cool. So I just do a translation. 所以刚才我们问到的问题是关于 Big Time 接下来的一些发展的计划跟 roadmap 哦。那Matthew 这边有跟我们分享到，就是说，其实现在就是银塔的这个 Silver Pass 的部分正在进行测试嘛，所以接下来几周就会进到这个 Ruby Pass， 预计应该是6月14号。那之后的这个 release 的 schedule 可能会以数周到数月为单位往后推进哦。那他们预期可能会在 Q3， 也就是说就是夏天的尾声或 Q4 的时候进到这个 Global Launch， 也就是完全把这个游戏开放给就是 Free to Play 的模式，就是免费的就可以去游玩哦。那在 Global Launch 的同时呢，就会开放像工会啊，然后让工会可以进来，让 Scholar 就是这些奖学金玩家可以开始建立这个经济系统，然后慢慢的把这个整个经济循环建立起来。然后关于很多玩家提问到这个 economy， 也就是代币经济啊，或接下来经济系统的部分呢，他们在下个礼拜会有一个 AMA。那这个 AMA 呢，会比较深入的去探讨他们整个经济设计的一些想法。那包含说NFT 的 burn rate 啊，然后 token 啊，然后以及游戏内的一些资源的获取等等。那刚刚频道里面也有人问到就是那个 vote 的部分嘛，那这个 vote 的部分也会在就是全面开放的时候一并这个支援出来。那到时候呢，就会有更多的详细资讯可以分享给大家。那包含说游戏的内容也会开放的更多等等。Okay, your turn, Daniel.
Okay, I'll take it from here. So, Matthew, we got another question from the community for you. So, does Big Time have any plans to support VR, like virtual reality, in the future? Because we all know when people are talking about metaverse, where we have a lot of like imagination about like immersively experiences, and so this lead let's kind of go to the VR. And or you guys think that VR is kind of still in the early stage, so you prefer to stick with the traditional PC gaming experiences? What's your thought on this?
So we would love to go to VR eventually. There's a lot of different ways that we could expand the game after global launch. We could go to PvP, we could do virtual reality, we could do some interoperability with some other games. I'll tell you that right now the team is very, very focused on making sure that global launch with just our base game is successful and it's good. Because if that doesn't go well, then any other kind of partnerships or expansions are going to fall by the wayside. Whether or not we go into PvP or VR or something else or console after global launch, a lot of that interest is going to be driven by our community. And if they're really arguing hard for one type of expansion over another, then we're going to look at that option first. So if we get a very, very strong pull from people to be like, hey, we really want to do VR next, then that's probably where we're going to end up going. But I know it's definitely something we've talked about inside the team about a future expansion for Big Time.
Hey, thanks. Sounds good. OK， 所以我刚刚我跟 Matthew 提问，因为就是有人提到说，Big Time 的未来会不会支援 VR？因为我们都知道，可能在现阶段大家提到元宇宙，那 VR 会是一个 很主流的一个所以大家对元宇宙的想象吧。对，所以我就问 Matthew 说，那会不会之后Big Time 会支援 VR，还是Big Time 会是更是以一个我们熟悉的 PC game 的形式去来做进行？然后 Matthew 的意思是说，其实像Big Time，其实他们内部有很多很多的讨论，但之后会怎么样去拓展他们的一个世界，或拓展他们的这个 IP？那 VR 是一个选项，那 PVP 也是一个 PVP，就是游戏玩家之间的对打也是一个选项，或是甚至跟其他的游戏做联名，他们其实都有内部讨论过。那但是在现阶段，因为他们比较专注于他们之后的这个全世界的公测，那所以他说这是就是照顺序来说，如果一旦这个上市这个成功的上市如果失败的话，那你前面做的再多的讨论，其实都不会有太大的意义。所以他们目前的主要的任务就是要把这个正式的上市成功的去把它推行给所有的玩家，不管是 Web2 传统的玩家也好，或是你在 Web3世界里你在观望，你想要进到 GameFi 的世界，这都是他们想要达到的第一个目标。对，那但是他说在之后啊，就是 Big Time 它任何的延伸，或是它下一阶段的计划，都会有他都会参考社群的意见。所以如果刚刚提到的，不管是 PVP 也好，或是联名也好，或是要到家机市场也好，就是我们 PS5或者是 Xbox 也好，或是甚至是 VR 也好，如果这些选项之中，那在社群的声音里面，大家特别喜欢以上提到任何一个特色或是一个可以延展的点，那这个就会是Big Time 首要发展的目标。但现阶段呢，他们就想要专注在接下来的一个 launching 上面，就接下来的一个成功的推出计划上。所以他说，大家可以就是持续的关注 Big Time，然后成为里面的一份子。那或许你的想法就可以被接纳，然后游戏会变成你喜欢的样子。
Okay, thanks, Daniel. So I'll take it from here. Our next question is about groups. So, Matthew, how many players are you allowed to form in the game? And do you have plans to allow players to form a bigger group or maybe a raid?
Right now, you can play the dungeons in groups of up to 6 people. So you can solo the dungeons if you want, but you can have up to 6 people going through it, and the NFT drop rates are generally going to be the highest when you have up to 6 people playing at the same time. We have thought about doing some larger expansions, but one of the things to keep in mind is the gameplay between each of the worlds is going to be very different. In early access, you were only seeing one world. It's called Time's End, and it's the focus of Time's End is orienting new players, and then it's very combat focused. But we're going to have other types of worlds where the focus will be different. For example, one of the world is going to be Epic City, which is going to be very community focused, where it's going to be less about dungeons and more about playing playing with like other people, following the storyline and setting up your communities. There's going to be a lot of interactions with NPCs as well during that time. So in that way, if you're very much like a very community focused and having a large group inside of Big Time, there will be worlds to facilitate that. So for people who are like, hey, I want to have a big raid party, they're going to be able to have those types of aspects in certain parts of Big Time.
Cool, awesome. 所以我刚刚提的问题是关于说有人问到就是组队大概能组几个玩家，然后有没有计划去有更大规模的这个队伍哦？那刚刚 Matthew 就分享到说，其实现在一个队伍是6个玩家。那当然你在打这个副本的时候呢，你一样可以 solo， 就是你可以一个人去打。那只是说，如果你组队组满到6人的话呢，这个 NFT 的 drop rate 会提升，就会比较高一点。好。那再来就是之后他们也有计划去提供更多的这个游戏的内容。那这个游戏的内容里面呢，会有不同的所谓的 world。那目前大家在的这个 world 是一个叫 Time's End 的这个 world， 那它会比较以打怪为主，所以比较 combat focused。那之后他们会有一个内容，就是游戏的这个世界会跟这个社群比较有关系，叫 Epic City。那在 Epic City 里面呢，它会比较少这个所谓的地层啊或副本，那玩家会需要更多的去做互动。 然后可能要去解任务，或者是解一些可能这个世界任务、主线任务等等。那你也可以在里面组织一个比较大的一个队伍去完成这些比较需要高度互动的一些游戏内容。所以这个是关于这个组队的一个部分。Okay, so thank you, Matt, and I'll hang over to Daniel.
Right. So this is another question from our community. So I quote, he said that he really loved the timeline concept in the game. It kind of like Doctor Strange. They have like multiple cosmos in parallel, and that's a brilliant idea. And I do see people going back to lower level dungeon for leveling up their new characters after acquiring a good watch. And sometimes they will even carry new players at the time. So that is really great. However, if a person would like to master more characters and classes, will there be some mechanism to help them lower the routine work feel? Like they don't want to just like go into another 9 to 5 job after they finish their day job. So sometimes like what we see in World of Warcraft. So is there are different race starting zone where they can have their own story or area to have a different experience if you're choosing different character and race. Is there any plans on this?
Is the question whether or not you can get whether or not there's going to be new characters that people can play, like new character classes? Is that right?
Oh, let me break it down. So, the question is actually like, so back in World of Warcraft, right? So,
Mhm.
different character and different race, we will have different storyline. Is there going to be like plan for big time because we have 4 class right now? So,
Mhm.
if a player wants to start with a different role, different class, is there going to be a different storyline specific for for each class?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So our characters are a little bit different. You can actually collect all 4 characters within 2 minutes of starting the game. So it's very quick, actually. And then you can switch between the characters as even if you're in the middle of a battle. So as one of your players mentioned, you have this thing called the pocket watch, and your pocket watch is tied to your character. You can change kind of at any moment. So it's not so much that the storyline changes, it's that as you switch character, your relative strength, speed, and intelligence of your character changes, but it doesn't change the storyline at all.
Okay, sounds great. 好，那我刚刚问 Matthew，因为这是另外一个来自工会里面的问题，就是他提到说他很喜欢游戏的概念，就是有不同的时间线。那他也看到有时候一些玩家在达到很高的等级以后，他会回到一开始，比如说初心者友善的地方，然后再去才可以快速的练等，因为它可以很快速的刷怪嘛。然后所以有时候这些老玩家甚至会带一些新手一起去做练等的工作。但是如果这有时候对玩家们其实会是一个好像很 routine 的工作，就是你已经玩完一次了，但是你要换另外一个角色来练等，你又会重新再做一次。所以这位工会成员说，有没有什么规划是可以让玩家在不同角色之间做切换的时候，可以降低这个重复性的工作啊，或者降低这种好像我忘记那个词了，但是就是意思就是重复的，好像在上班一样，你一直去做一样的事情。那Matthew 的回答是说，Big Time 其实它有一个机制，就是你很快的你就可以解锁4个角色，然后他们有一个道具叫做Pocket Watch，那这样子一个道具是可以在你任何时刻，哪怕是你在战斗之程中，你也可以在你不同的角色之中做切换，所以你并不会因为要练等，或是并不会因为你切换角色，所以就影响了你在享受故事、享受剧情的情况。所以，你可以很快速的切换，所以这不会是一个问题。So Matthew, just want to clarify. So if the level going to be different between different characters, or like, for example, one account, if you reach like 100 level, 4 of your characters will all in the same standard by then.
No, no. So that's what the that one of your followers was mentioning. So there's 4 character classes. So one of them is called Time Warrior. Let's say you get your Time Warrior up to level 100, but you totally ignore your other 3 characters. all those guys are still going to be at level 0, and you need to go back and level them up independently. And the reason why we went for this is that it constantly forces advanced users to go back and play with new users, and then as you change your pocket watch, which changes the cosmetics of your character, you essentially have to kind of start over. But as you get higher and higher level pocket watches, you can get more equipment, better stats overall, but you can only level up one pocket watch for a character at a time. So, but we do this because it does a very good job of mixing the community between advanced and new players.
Okay, but even though you have like level gaps between your different characters, but you can still switch between whenever you want, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
所以我刚刚问了 Matthew 说，那如果你同一个账号里面有很多只角色，那这些等级会不同。那 Matthew 刚提到的，就像我刚问题里面提到的，就是说其实每一只的角色它的等级是会不同的，但是呢，他们这样的设计其实就是为了像刚刚工会成员提到的，就是让老手即便他有一只角色等级100等，但其他的角色他还没有练等的时候，他还是必须回到新手村或是循序渐进的把等级练上去，这样子可以促进更好的社群之中的互动，然后让老玩家可以带新玩家，然后可以认识更多不同的人，你可以更多的是参与游戏，这是他们这么设计的一个原因。OK， 好，那接下来再麻烦 CR。
Great. Next question. So regarding the NFTs, it's kind of like cosmetic NFTs right now. So will there be other like actual equipment NFT with better attributes? Maybe that can be traded in the future, because I think that might bring out some pay to win and maybe play to earn argument. But many people are curious about this.
No. Short answer is no. There's never going to be an aspect where those NFTs are going to affect your gameplay. Big Time is very committed to it not being a pay to win game. And so those NFTs are just going to be cosmetic. Now, there is a chance that some of the NFTs and collecting them may allow you to play some additional levels or expansions or something like that. That's something we've discussed, but certainly haven't finalized yet. But we are very much committed to it not being a pay-to-win game and always being free to play. And the main reason we did that, going back to what I was saying in the beginning, is it creates a much bigger player base. And when you have a bigger player base, that gives you a lot more options for how you can run your in-game economy, and then increasing the demand for cosmetic skins. So that's just the way Big Time is built, and I really don't see any kind of option where we move away from that.
Okay, thank you. 所以刚刚的问题是，刚刚问题是有人问到说，就是除了这个外观这种 cosmetic 的这个 NFT 之外，有没有计划在未来会推出真的能够有一些数值，或者是影响游戏的这个游玩体验的一些 NFT 哦？那Matthew 这边刚刚的分享是说，简单来说，基本上是不会有哦。那因为他们的游戏的设计的理念是希望不要有这种 pay to win，就是氪金玩家可以透过这个氪金的方式哦，就是买 NFT 的方式来变得很强的这种游戏模式跟体验哦。所以他们的计划就是会只有这种外观可以，就是皮肤啊、外观啊，然后 title 啊这种比较不会影响这个游戏数值的这些 NFT 可以去购买，以及在游戏里面就是流通。但是他们有在开发的过程中讨论到，或许未来会有这个 NFT， 就是你持有之后，你可以去进到特别的这个游戏的等级，或者是地层吧，我猜或者是说一些副本那这件事情还在讨论之中，暂时还没有确定下来。所以简单来说，整个游戏的设计就是不会往氪金玩家可以影响到这个游戏的强度这个方向来开发跟设计。Okay, thank you, Matthew.
Okay, thanks, CR and Matthew. So I kind of want to follow up on the last question here. So we know that Big Time's first priority is to keep the balance in games. So you don't have any plans to have these NFT to have any kind of the privilege or advantage to affect the game fairness. So aside from this part, except for those NFT, they might change the balance inside of the game. Do you plan to? Because we all know that equipment and weapons are really important elements in MMORPG games. So if it's like a regular equipment that everyone can access, do you plan to put it on chain just for more like easy trading process or system? Do you have any plan in the future on this aspect?
You know, I hadn't really thought of that. My gut instinct is no. And the reason why is a lot of those base weapons that you're talking about that presumably everybody could have access to are actually more of a result of skill. So when you put them on chain, what you do is you basically say, hey, users can trade this, and users when you can trade this or buy it or sell it or something like that, then basically allows users to buy their way into a higher level of the game. And that's generally what we want to avoid. We were very much a player focused, and we want like, hey, only people who grind it out and play really hard should be able to compete kind of at the highest levels. So what you're talking about, functionally inside the game is being able to put pocket watches on chain. I'm sure it's definitely an option that's always there, but we definitely don't have it inside of our roadmap to put those player stats or those weapons or something like that on chain right now.
Thank you, Matthew. That's actually a wonderful like answer on this. So I want to like let me translate it to our guild members.
Okay, of course.
所以我刚刚问的 Matthew 就是我想要延伸上一题的问题，因为刚刚 CR 提到了说，就是会不会有一些 NFT 是影响游戏的公平性？然后我刚刚就提问说，我们都知道 MMORPG 像魔兽世界啊这样子的大型多人线上游戏、角色扮演游戏，那装备武器会是一个很重要的元素。那其实在台湾也有一些所谓的场外交易的网页或者是平台，像是8591大家很熟悉的。那在这些平台为什么会有这么频繁的场外交易？其实是有一个这样的需求存在的。但是 Matthew 的意思是，他刚刚回答我说，目前Big Time 没有任何这样子的规划。那之所以这么做，是因为就是之所以都会有人会想要买装备，会想要买更高等级的装备，或是想要买角色等等的，或是你把这些武器道具作为 NFT 把它放到链上，那其实这个是变相的在允许 pay to win 这件事情，因为有些人不想要练等，他不想要真的去体验游戏，他不想要真的是循序渐进、按部就班的在游戏里面成长，那所以他就付了钱，他想要买到更容易的。想要超近路，他买到更强的装备，他就可以跳过，然后可能这样就是影响，其实也是间接的影响游戏的这个平衡，哪怕它不是，哪怕它不是一个多稀有或是大家都可以得到的装备，但是它跳过了这个练等或是正常获取它的路径，那其实就是一件破坏平衡的事情。所以其实Big Time 目前没有任何的规划去做这件事情。OK，好，那。So that's my follow up of the last question. So I want to continue with our last question for our community today. And so it seems like the Gold Class player have been complaining about experience, including their encounter bugs and lack of the lore and mission system, cosmetic items doesn't look unique enough, etc. So does Big Time have any plan to improve those issues, or it will be fixed in the following updates?
So you're asking if there's going to be updates to the lore of the game? Is that what you're saying?
It's in there are actually different different type of stuff they're encountering. So including they're facing some bugs as the first one, and some lagging, and some of and people ask about the lack of the lore and mission system. So that's the four elements that people think they're having trouble with in the
Oh,
beta test.
oh, okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense, and that's because we haven't released the entire game yet, so somewhat of the lore is lost, or certainly not complete. I think putting a rough number on it, I would say in early access, we've released about 25% of the gameplay content that users are going to be able to see by the time global launch comes out. So you're only seeing one world, but by the time that the actual game comes out, you're going to be playing on multiple worlds and you're going to be able to do multiple things across multiple time periods. So, for example, in some of the trailers, we said there's going to be dinosaurs. In other trailers, it looked more like a futuristic setting with robots and skyscrapers, something that you'd see out of like CryptoPunks or Blade Runner, something like that. All those levels are going to be released eventually, and that's really more where the game timeline and the lore will come in more fully. That's the hard part that with an early access launch is, hey, this isn't the whole game. There's going to be some bugs. The whole story isn't going to be complete, but that's why it's an early access launch of the game. And because it is an incomplete part of the story, we tried to compensate users by having a much, much higher NFT drop rate during early access launch as compared to normal gameplay.
Awesome. Okay. So let me translate to your member. 所以我刚刚问 Matthew 说，其实网络上有看到一些就是拥有这个黄金通行证，就是早期测试资格的朋友们就是抱怨说，其实现在他们在 Big Time 里面有一些的有一些 bug 啊，或者是有一些游戏上的延迟，然后或者是就是他们就是故事性不足啊，或者是其实没有很完善的任务系统等等的。然后，所以我们我请问 Matthew 说，未来有没有任何的计划去做出一些更新？然后，另外就是，然后 Matthew 这边有提到说，其实现在在beta 测试的阶段、封测的阶段，其实只有大概25%的游戏内容有做释出。那现在你只能看到一个世界，那一种风格，那可是到时候会有很多的不同的事件，然后有不同的时空，所以你可能会在他们的预告里面可能会看到高楼大厦，然后甚至有时候有恐龙，你可以是穿梭不同的时空啊，不同的体验，然后也会有不同的任务等等的。那他也提到了，这就是封测的意义跟为什么要去做封测，因为一定会有一些 bug 跟一些不完美的地方，所以但是就是也是希望透过封测来去做，让未来正式推出的时候，游戏可以做得更完美、更完善。那目前的情况是他们知道玩家在早期测试的阶段一定会有一些不方便跟不完善的体验，所以他们就让这个NFT 的掉保率大幅的提高，作为一个回报，然后去补偿这些不太好的游戏体验。OK。Okay, Clement, I think I kind of missed question number 11, so maybe you can.
It's okay. Yeah. So, in addition to the last question, our community members think that the trade volume and also the value of the cosmetic NFT still might not be able to support what the Gold Pass players invested, like before the access. So, do you have any plan on take caring of this situation? Because our community member heard of some of the Gold Pass players are not very happy about this.
Yeah, it's an interesting take because I would disagree with that assessment. I can't give away too many details about the way that the NFT drop rate worked. However, we can tell you that there were a lot of NFTs dropped during the Gold Pass gameplay. I think that most of the Gold Pass users who were frustrated with the game didn't actually play that much. They probably played like 20 hours or 30 hours or something like that. But I can tell you from some of the community members who were playing 10 or 12 hours a day for 4 straight weeks that they were getting an insane number of NFTs. It was almost mind blowing how many they were getting. And then they were immediately putting them on the marketplace and then trading them. And that demand and the prices for those cosmetic skins that they found on the marketplace moved around quite a bit, but overall the prices stayed very stable, really, especially after the first week. So I thought that was pretty notable. But you have to play the game in order to like make the money. That's generally what the feedback I've been hearing from early access players. If you're just kind of like a casual player and you paid $1,000 or $5,000 for the gold pass, you probably didn't make your money back. But similar like what you'd see with Axie, or other traditional pay to earn games, if you don't play it that much, you're not going to make that much. But if you play it a lot, you can make a lot. And so that's kind of one thing I would push back on that particular criticism.
Okay, agree with your point, Matthew. So
Yeah.
let me translate it. 刚才的这个提问就是有玩家在问说，因为其实在你早期如果你要买那个 Gold Pass 来进入游戏的话，你要花蛮大一笔钱的。那于是就在社群里面有在 FUD 嘛，就是在讲说，我就是打的 NFT 可能不够多，或者是就是市场的交易量可能不够让我回本啊，所以我们刚刚的问题就是说，官方有没有对这种这个现象有做出一些未来的计划等等哦？那Matthew 基本上就是蛮不同意这样子的论述哦。那主因是因为呢，他觉得当然他没办法分享实际的掉保率啦，但是他认为如果你玩真的是一个就是花非常多时间投入的玩家，你可能一天花10到12个小时去玩的话，实际上你会拿到非常多的 NFT， 而且这个价格在游戏开放之后。应该是说他们的这个就是 early access 开放之后的第1周之后呢，其实价格就已经蛮稳定了。所以如果你投入的游戏时间是够多的话，理论上是可以把你投入的这个投资赚回来的。那当然，如果你玩到现在可能只玩了20-30个小时，那当然很有可能是没有办法把当初的投资赚回来哦。那这个部分就是一个目前的一个现况哦。对。
Okay, so
Okay, Daniel.
okay. I have another question here. Is that so I've tried the game this afternoon, and the graphic it's amazing, and the resolution is pretty good. So we wondered that since it has such a high quality of the game, can you let us know the hardware requirements on the game?
Yeah, so thanks for the compliments on the game. So this is what we recommend. We recommend a GeForce GTX 1060 or better, 8 GB of RAM, a DirectX 11 or above, an Intel Core i5 4430 or better, and then at least 10 GB of available drive on your space. Available drive space. So we have seen some players play with lower specifications on their computers and be very successful. Things just generally render at a lower rate, and the quality is a little bit slower. So you can play with some suboptimal specifications. It's currently not available on a Mac, and so in terms of like gaming PCs, that's about a mid to entry level gaming PC to start playing the game. And although we could have made the graphics way better and way faster, it would have been almost prohibitively difficult for most people to play the game, and we are really aiming for a very, very large user base.
Sorry for the missing some of the part. What is the spec of the graphic cards again?
A GTX 1060 or a Radeon RX 580.
OK， 所以我翻译一下，就是刚刚我们有问 Matthew 说，现在的游戏其实Big Time 试作画面其实好像品质都不错，但是所以大家想要请问说，实际上在玩这样子的游戏，硬体的规格要求是多少？然后刚刚 Matthew 有回答说，建议是 GTX 1060NVIDIA 的显卡，或者是AMD 的这个850显卡以上的等级，然后希望至少是 i5，然后 Intel i5 的核 CPU，然后需要有10G 的硬碟空间，对，然后这是他们的推荐的规格。那其实他们也有收到一些来自社群的回馈，就是其实比较低的规格其实也是可以运行 Big Time， 然后是很顺畅的，但是你只要需要把画质跟解析度稍微调整一下，那其实就没什么问题。 那目前游戏还不支援苹果的系统，就是 Mac， 目前还是玩不到的。但是他们目前的设计其实是希望不要让他们其实也可以把游戏做得非常非常精美，然后占很多的资源，然后像是可能传统的3A 大作一样，上古卷轴或是巫师等等的，就是你需要很高的规格，你才可以完全展现游戏的细节等等。但是他们说这不是他们的目标，他们的目标是可以接触以更多的玩家为主，所以他们希望让可能是中阶或是一个 entry level，就是一个比较初中阶的一个 gaming 电脑就可以达到这样子的硬体规格需求，他们可以让更多人体验到这个游戏，这是他目前所瞄准的。Okay, so I think we have all of our question on the documents that we have for today, but we still have a few questions from our community, from our
Yeah.
radio chat channel. So, Ciara,
Maybe I'll take it from here.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. So one of our member who is also our dual member, he asked about the mystery box selling on Binance. So he already bought 2 mystery box, and he's asking about those cards which cannot collect into 6 cards. Is that any chance to use those cards in game?
Which mystery boxes are you talking about? The ones like from our sale back in a few months ago, or from the in-game play?
From Binance.
Okay, yeah. So he'll be able to use those during the global launch portion. They include the postcards among other things, and then we're talking about possibly combining those. If he gets all 6 of the postcards in the mystery boxes, that he would be able to get an additional cosmetic NFT to show like, hey, you're an individualized collector. But basically, it's going to be another cosmetic part that you're going to be able to show and customize your space. Again, that full feature comes out during global launch.
Okay, thank you, Matthew. 所以刚刚的问题是说，有人在币安买了盲盒嘛，那就里面有一些卡片。那他问到说，无法凑成6张的卡片，有没有机会在游戏里面用到哦？那 Matthew 的回答是说，预计在 Global Launch， 就是正式开放的时候呢，可以去合成。那合成这些卡片的话，如果你把它就是合成完兑换，它可以兑换成 Cosmetic 的 NFT。所以这个是目前的一个计划。Okay, so your turn, Daniel.
Okay, so the next question from the radio live chat today is that let me see. Okay, so about partnerships, could you Matthew, do you have any future plans on this, and what do you think from partnership, that what is the goal that you guys want to achieve through partnership?
It depends on what you mean by partnership. So, our formal partnerships are with organizations like Circle, who help build our credit card functionality and access inside the game. So those are formal partnerships with us. Generally, what we look for is something that significantly enhances gameplay or a positive user experience. That's for a formal partnership. For things like guilds or other people who are just kind of more interested in NFTs generally, we look for a dialogue or a community. So, for example, like your community, what we look for is somebody who wants to play the game, who are gamers and perhaps a little bit less focused on just trying to extract as much value out of the game and like a Ponzi scheme, and more like, hey, are these people who enjoy the game? Do they like playing? Are they gamers? Do they have a real passion for it? Because we see that people who are constantly trying to extract out of the game, like pull the tokens out, generally put a lot of downward pressure on token value and other things in other games, and that doesn't contribute positively to a user experience. So that's why we built our economy the way we did. A lot of it stays inside of the game or inside of our marketplace, and so we're trying to find communities that are willing to to work with us on that and then contributed to that positively as well.
Awesome. I agree on this part. So, let me translate it.刚刚我问的问题是，就是 Big Time 啊，目前有跟哪一些不同的合作伙伴有做合作，然后这些合作可以怎么样的带给 Big Time 正面的回馈，然后跟 Big Time 一起成长。那还有提到说，其实他们在目前做了很多不一样的合作，然后目前也持续的去接触更多不同的新的可能性。那像是他们目前比较官方的合作伙伴会像 Circle 就是一家区块链金融机构，然后他们的如果大家有去买过 Big Time 的，不管是提前的早期测试通行证也好，或是有买过 Big Time 的土地也好，那其实你会发现他们在系统上是可以直接用信用卡购买的，所以大幅的降低你进入他们游戏的门槛。那这个信用卡系统其实就是由 Circle 来打造的，然后所以同时确保了方便性，然后同时也确保了这个不管在交易上面的安全性等等。那说这样子的更多的不管是服务也好，或是币圈啊，或是一些金融上的基础建设，或是其他跟游戏相关的 partnership 也好，其实他们的这样子形式的合作，都是为了带来更好的游戏体验给玩家们，让他们可以更专注在游戏享受上，而不用去花心思去解决一些可能不属于他们的问题。然后另外一个地方就是像是在可能 NFT 或是 NFT 社群，或是币圈区块链社群的这样子的合作，那他们的瞄准的目标是一个更愿意就是接受不同新的形式，更愿意去对话的社群，就像是GTG 一样，不是只是想要好像做冲突狗盘，然后就是参与很多这样子的庞氏经济，只想要赚一波，然后割一波韭菜就跑。那他看到很多过去的 GameFi 啊，其实它整合了代币经济以后，不一定的为游戏带来更多的就 sustainability， 就是不是一定带来更多的持续性，不一定带来更多正向的循环，反而是因为挖题卖的这个模式去毁了这个游戏，所以他们希望是，然后他们在他们的 marketplace 也是一样，他们不希望是好像他们合作的工会或他们合作的社群是一到得到了很多稀有的 NFT，然后就大量的到货，然后好像就是割一波就走。那这样子其实对游戏的生态不健康的，所以他们希望可以避免这样合作，然后是跟更多就是真正的玩家或是真正喜欢这款游戏的工会啊，或是社群去合作。
Okay, awesome. So I think the time is up, and we have most of our question covered today. So I'm gonna to close for today's AMA, and maybe Matthew can share some words with us before we close today's event.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us on. What I'd like to do for your community is I'd like to be able to provide some Ruby passes for your guys. So I think we could provide some for your core team, for your innermost people, and then additionally, I'd like to give up to 5 more Ruby passes to 5 of your community people. I'll let you pick them. And what the Ruby Pass does is it allows you to start playing the game on June 28th. And you essentially get whitelisted into the game. I just need your big time username and emails. And then that way you can start playing the game right off the bat, even before a global launch. And so that includes collecting those NFTs, and whatever NFTs you find, you can put them onto the marketplace, so on and so forth. So I'd like to be able to do that for your community, if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah, super awesome. Thank you so much, Matthew. 所以刚才Matthew 他就是很开心的就跟我们分享到说会跟我们提供5个这个 Ruby Pass 哦，那预期在6月28号的时候可以进到这个游戏里面来游玩哦。那我们这边工会这边会在安排就是提供这个 Ruby Pass 的这个方式哦，看可能是安排抽奖，或者是我们从比较 active 的这个工会成员里面去做一些挑选哦。那总之我们这个之后会在公布给大家。那最后就是我们也非常感谢 Matthew 今天到了我们的这个 AMA 现场哦。 然后我刚才已经把我们的这个Gleam Form 分享在我们的频道里面，所以请到我们的电台聊天频道里面去看我们今天的这个 Gleam Form。So thank you very much for having you today, Matthew, and we are very pleased and also exciting about Big Time, and also thank you for providing 5 Ruby Paths to our community. And thank you for your time today. And let's stay tuned to the game, and we will definitely form a team and also collect our like guild members to like play the games and maybe kill some dragons or maybe defeat all the in-game characters and in the instances. So happy for you to join us today, and we are very looking forward to the game. Any words for today, Daniel?
Yeah, thank you, Matthew, for coming to GTG today. It's our pleasure to having you tonight, and we're looking forward to more collaboration with you guys. And we were definitely leading our guild to tune into any information that you guys are releasing. So looking forward to see you in the big time world.
Great.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thanks,
much for having
Matthew.
us on, guys.
Cool.
Awesome.
So you have a good day, Matthew.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you guys soon.
Thanks. Alrighty.
Cool.
Bye.
So everyone who are still in our channel, we have already shared the Gleam form for today's OAT badge on Project Galaxy. So just head over to our radio live chat channel, and we have pinned the Gleam form for you in the channel. 那我们今天的活动就到这边结束。那我们一样在下个礼拜四的晚上9点，一样会有我们的 AMA 活动哦。Daniel， 我们的下一场是跟完了我又忘记了。
我们下一场是跟那个一个台湾非常知名的 NFT 项目是Elysium， 对
，Elysium Awesome。
对不过我们中间有一个加场，就是5月30号我们会邀请元素骑士到我们的当中。
OK， 所以5月30号会有元素骑士的这个加场，然后下一场再下一场会是这个 Elysium 哦，应该蛮多台湾的 NFT 的这个玩家都会知道，所以我们期待在下2次的这个 AMA 里面跟大家见面哦。那我们今天活动就到这边，然后感谢大家的收听。如果你从中间一半开始收听的话，我们之后会再上传我们今天的这个精彩的 AMA 的回放给大家。那我是 CR 很高兴今天跟 Daniel 一起主持我们的 AMA， 那我们就下次再见喽，晚安，拜拜。
谢谢大家拜拜。
See you next MA, and we will have you here in our Discord. So good night, good morning, and good afternoon.